Yo, what's up, everybody? Paul Hickey here with NoOffSeason.com. Welcome to the Overflow Show. It is time to answer premium members' questions from NoOffSeason.com. So, welcome to all of our premium members. Hopefully, you all get value out of this show, especially those who are the ones who submitted the questions from this week. So, we want to help you with your sports card investing portfolio management strategy. So that's what we're doing when we are answering questions on the Overflow show from all of our premium members. If you have not submitted a question for the Overflow show, go to nooffseason.com, log in with your premium membership, and click the button up at the top that says Get Unlimited Personalized Advice. And you can also find the buttons kind of interspersed throughout the website in different places that just says submit a question. So thanks to everybody for watching and listening to the Overflow show. Hopefully you get value out of this. And real quick, we've just added a new service for our premium members. You can text sports cards to 1-833-992-5727. That's sports cards. Just text the word sports cards to 1-833-992-5727. This is so you can get sell alerts. This would be stuff like if Damian Lillard gets traded, or when Dalvin Cook signs, or when Curtis Mead got called up a couple weeks ago. We're starting to send out text alerts to sell cards right away for guys that have a moment, have a marker. When a marker happens, we don't want you to miss out on the opportunity to sell. So that's what we're doing with the text messaging service to start. All right, up first in terms of the member questions today, Josh Dipiazza, new member. Josh, welcome to the nooffseason.com family. He says it's a two-parter. He says, do you think at this point in the season and with the market the way it is, I should invest in multiple Spencer Jones PSA 10s or a single Jackson Holliday PSA 10? This is a phenomenal question. Phenomenal question. This is exactly what we talk about related to managing your sports card investment strategy. Because if you think about it, like, you know, it's easier to buy lower priced cards, but in order to make the same amount of profit that you would on a higher priced card, you have to buy multiple of them. And as you're buying multiple of them, you're like, oh, well, I could have just bought this one higher priced card. And a lot of times it's of a different player as well. So phenomenal question. I know my answer. I'm going to let Chad and Lefty go first. His second part of the question is, do you think it would be beneficial to invest in market movers or card ladder? The answer here to me is easy. It's market movers. I've used them both, and market movers is just far superior. There's not only more features, but I have trouble finding cards in card ladder, and I'd never have trouble finding cards in market movers. And market movers also gives you the ability to add cards to your collection. Your portfolio, your collection feature is a great way to track your own investing and how you've done. And market movers just is a far superior tool in terms of charting, looking at trend lines. And you can save 20% on market movers by using the promo code NOOFFSEASON. You can save 20% for life and get a free 14-day trial. Card ladder, I don't think does any of that. So market movers all the way, all day, baby. But Chad, what do you think about investing in multiple Spencer Jones PSA 10s or a single Jackson Holliday PSA 10?
Hi, Josh, and thanks for the question. That's a good question. In regards to the Spencer Jones or Jackson Holiday, I'm not sure which if you're looking for base or Mojo Sapphire, what you're looking to compare. But here's the breakdown: the Spencer Jones base first PSA 10s right now are selling for about $36, whereas holidays are selling for about $125. So you'd be looking at approximately 3 to 4 Spencer Jones for one holiday. Spencer's Mojos are selling for about 55 compared to Holidays, which are about 350, and the Sapphires, which are Spencer Jones is 80, and Jackson Holidays are about $420. So it's Holiday is 3 to 4 times that of what Spencer Jones is. Um, you had mentioned buying two of one or one of the other. I'm gonna, regardless of the number of them, I'm gonna recommend that if you can afford it to buy one Jackson Holiday, it's the safer play. Jackson Holiday is all but assured to get called up next year. Um, he looks like the surefire thing right now, and his cards have a ways to go once he does get called up. So it's definitely the safer play, the easier money. And as Paul talks about, it's sometimes easier to have to buy one and sell one versus buy three or four and sell three or four to make the same kind of profit margin. So I would say go with Jackson Holiday if your budget allows. As far as card ladder or market movers or some other tool, as you've heard us talk on the show, we love market movers. We all subscribe to market movers. I think market movers is an extremely valuable tool to have, especially if you're going to be trying to flip for profit. You need a tool of some sort. You can do it off of eBay, searching one at a time. It's just a lot more time consuming. Or 130 point. You can do it manually without a program like Market Movers or Card Ladder. It just makes it a whole lot more streamlined, and it saves you a lot of time. So with Market Movers right now, if you use the no off season code, you not only get a discount, but you also get 50% off for life. So right now it's a really good deal on Market Movers if you use the no off season code. So I would recommend Market Movers. I would recommend using the code and getting half off whether you subscribe for a year or whatever. You get the half off for life. So I hope that answers your questions. Look forward to hearing what you did and how you did, and keep the questions coming. Thank you.
Yeah. So, one vote for one Jackson Holliday PSA 10. Chad did a nice job of breaking down whether or not you're looking for like a Mojo refractor, a regular refractor, or just a base. You're probably going to find similar price differences between all of them as you scale up the card. But that was great context from Chad. One slight correction is it is 20% off on Market Movers using the promo code no off season, not half off, but 20% off, still significant. 20% off for life for any of the products that you maneuver around within the Market Movers family. So great question, Josh. All right, what does Lefty have to say about it?
What's up, Josh? This is a perfect question for us here at the Sports Card Strategy Show and nooffseason.com. Should I invest in multiple PSA 10s of Spencer Jones or a single Jackson Holliday PSA 10? I think you could potentially go either way, and I would think it would also depend on what Spencer Jones you are investing in. If you're just talking about the regular Chrome PSA 10, I would rather have a Jackson Holliday PSA 10. Because I think he's more of a can't-miss product. I think the floor is way higher for Jackson Holliday because there's so many unpredictabilities about Spencer Jones being so big. Where is he going to play? Is he going to get play time? Is he going to be a swing and miss guy? Is he going to be a guy that gets exploited higher in the minors because he's got so much space in his strike zone? But if he answers all those questions, his outcome could be enormous. So your higher potential of winnings in terms of what you've paid versus what you get out could be higher in Spencer Jones. But I think if you're going to just spend it, especially right now, I would spend it on a single Jackson Holliday PSA 10 and just love the way that that's going to go up time after time. And I trust the Orioles system right now. I think the Jackson Holliday would be the play I made. And considering that, I have made several Jackson Holliday plays myself this like in the past couple of weeks. So that's who I'm choosing. I like both players. I don't think you could go wrong either way. But if you were to make me choose, I would choose a single Jackson Holliday versus multiple Spencer Joneses. In terms of market movers versus card ladders, we encourage market movers. We have a little plan with them where you can get a big discount on market movers from nooffseason.com. But at the same time, I've heard a lot of good things about card ladder. Those are two of the best in the hobby. I am more comfortable using market movers, but I have heard a lot of great things about card ladder. So if, again, two good situations, I think if you were to push come to shove, I think I would choose market movers just because of the experience I have with it, because of it being tied to Sports Card Investor, and also because it's something that you can get as a good deal with us at nooffseason.com. But thanks, Josh. Absolutely fantastic questions. Continue and happy hunting.
Love it. All right, Josh. Hopefully that helped. I am going to also put a bow on the Jackson Holliday discussion. I go Jackson Holliday all the way. I like Spencer Jones as well, but I like Spencer Jones as like a total flyer for super cheap. But one thing I've learned, if there's one thing I wish I could go back and do over again over the last 2 years with how I've spent my own money, sports card investing and flipping, it would be to not pull trigger on cheaper cards for flyers and avoid the FOMO of flyers. Like when people talk about this guy, that guy, the other guy, I would take all the this, that, and the others, add them all together and go get the one guy. All the money from the flyers to go get the one guy, and that's Jackson Holliday. And the good news is there's cycles to this. So while Ellie De La Cruz was that guy this time last year, leading up to the selling point that we encourage everybody to sell before his call up, there's always another guy. And right now that guy's Jackson Holliday. So if you missed out on Ellie or you missed out on Wander or other prospects before Jackson Holliday, you can not miss out by going and getting Jackson Holliday. So that's what I would do. All right, up next, thanks again, Josh. Up next, Marty Friel. Marty Friel. Hey guys, what is your opinion on grading case hit? SSP, low numbered, one of ones, one of ones, out of fives, out of tens, out of 25 type stuff, or autograph cards. I've heard varying degrees of feedback on the idea. Would you rather have a very rare card in a slab graded at PSA 8 or just hold that card raw? Short and long term, what would you say holds more value? Does having a PSA 9 or 10 really add all that much value to a short print type card at the end of the day? Thanks a lot. I can't remember how I stumbled across the site and the podcast, but I'm happy to be part of this community. P.S. I'll turn in a show and tell when I get the premium pack on my renewal. I'm not going anywhere. Thanks, Marty. Appreciate that. Marty's on eBay, the Friel deal. So check out ebay.com/USR/the Friel deal, which is FRIELDEAL. So thanks, Marty. Appreciate that. Give Marty some love on eBay. But everybody, what do you think about Marty's question? Chad up first.
Marty, and thanks for the question. Thanks for being a loyal follower and viewer of the channel of NorthOffSeason.com and the Sports Card Strategy Show. We appreciate you asking questions and following us and looking to us for advice. The answer to the question is, if you've heard us on previous episodes, I have said very adamantly that it does not make any sense to grade a one of one. And the reason is it's a one of one. There are no comps. There's nothing comparable. If you get a 10, it will double or triple the value of the card. However, you have a much higher chance of getting a 9.5, 9, 8.58, whatever grade it is. Doesn't matter what grade you get. If it doesn't get a 10, it will sell for less than it will raw. Because one of ones hold such high value, it makes no sense. Do not grade one of ones. However, when it comes to case hits, short prints, serial numbers to 5, 10, 15, 20, 25, 35, 50, 49, whatever the case may be. Any other serial numbered card, any other base card that's not serial numbered, grading the card definitely makes sense. Look the card over, use the centering tool and the magnifier that we have on the No Off Season website. If you haven't gotten those, I recommend you do that because that will help you tremendously in pre-grading cards. But if you look it over, the centering looks good. The edges look good. There's no scratches or scuff marks. And you are confident that it's going to get a very high grade, possibly get a 10. It will 2 to 4x the value of the card if you get a 10. I don't care if it's a base or numbered to 5 or 10 or 20, 25. Doesn't matter what the serial number is or if it's even serial numbered. General rule of thumb is a PSA 10 will 3 to 4x any card regardless of what it is. The only one that doesn't apply to is the 1 of 1. It might 2x or 3x a 1 of 1. However, like I said before, there's such a high risk. Why get a 1 of 1 graded? So I hope that answers your question. Continue watching. Look forward to some more questions. And thanks for the question. Have a great day.
Thanks, Lefty. Good stuff. Sorry. Thanks, Chad. Good stuff. Lefty, what do you have to say to the Friel deals question here?
Hey, Marty. We kind of have differing takes on this depending on the run or the short print or the actual product that the card is coming out of. For instance, if you have a 1 of 1 and it's going to hold, and unless it's pristine, unless it's very obviously pristine, then just keep it raw unless you're worried about keeping it long term. If you're PCing a card like this, I would grade it because it's not going to matter to you if you're PCing it what the grade is, and it is going to keep it healthy long terms in terms of the value and the potential things that could go wrong. I would rather have it encased rather than just sitting out raw. I like the way cases look versus raw cards too, and that's a unique thing for me. There's a lot of people that like the look of raw cards much more than they like the look of case cards. I prefer a look of a case card, even if it's a PSA 8 over a raw card. But if you're trying to increase the value, you've got to be careful considering their comps are going to be harder, and the really only win in that scenario, if you have a one-on-one, the only win in the scenario is if it comes back a pristine 10. That's the only way that it comes back and you get more money for what you have it. If you have it at a 9, it's going to get less clicks and it's just going to be in a holder. I don't believe you're going to sell it for more money as a 9 than if you would have sold it raw. And so I think people are just hoping on the 10, and that's a lot of risk for one number out of the 10. So it's kind of going back and forth, kind of a best judgment call, but it's something that you kind of have to look on case by case. Thank you for coming in. We'd love to have you have the show and tell and the premium packs. We'd love to have you as part of our community. We're glad that you found us, even if you can't remember how. But just continue to submit those questions, and thanks, Marty.
Thanks, Kendall. Good work, man. So good stuff there from Chad and Lefty. They seem to be in alignment, Marty, on not grading a 1 of 1 and then being very careful with the grading decisions that you make on the out of 5. But if it does look good on something serial numbered or short printed or autoed, Chad made a good point about buying the centering tool and the loop 10x magnifier. You can go to nooffseason.com, hover over grading tools, and then click the link to buy those off of eBay. And that's something that you can get very good at over time if you haven't graded a lot of cards. You learn from grading cards and get better at what you believe is going to gem versus potentially not gem. Centering tool and the Loop 10x magnifier, definitely tried and true tools that everybody recommends. So, okay, here's my take on this, Marty. Early on, I wanted every card that I was going to sell on eBay graded, strictly for the reason of it's not worth my time getting into conflicts with people who receive a raw card and then have a problem with the condition of it and then want to file a dispute on eBay. So that's why I was kind of like, any card that I'm going to sell, I'm going to have it graded. Was that the best overall strategy for maximizing profit? No. Because definitely I wouldn't always get the grade that I wanted on the card, and then it would be stuck in that holder with the lower grade, and then it would devalue the card or whatever. But at least if I wanted to sell it, there's no argument from the buyer as to what the condition of the card is. So that is the upside, depending on your own personal situation. But what I have learned is that leaving a card raw, I think sometimes especially if it is like an out of 25 auto or an SSP, or even just a regular auto, not serial numbered. It leaves meat on the bone for people who want to buy the card and then have it graded. So it almost sometimes can uh, broaden or widen your prospective buyer pool. So consider all these factors when determining whether or not you want to grade the card. I think first of all, go through the process of what is the card, what is the serial number, what is the what's the short print, etc. What's the auto, what brand is it, what player is it. Look at some comps if there are comps. Never grade a 1 of 1, like Chad said, and then determine if the card would get a gem grade. And if it would, I would say take the risk. You can always crack it out. And as long as you don't, as long as it's not serial numbered, you could always resubmit it back to the grading company or a different grading company if you want. But you could always crack it out and sell it if it doesn't get the grade that you like. So keep that in mind. All right. I'm going to take a question from Brett Staude. So Brett Staude says, "Hey, Paul, enjoyed meeting you and Chad at the National. It was one of the few things I made sure I did when I was there. For players that might get a September call up, so baseball players, how do you price their cards now? 1.5 times comps or 2x, etc." Yeah, no wrong answer to this. I think the only wrong answer is to not list players' cards now that might get a September call up. I would avoid like listing guys like Jackson Churio or Jackson Holliday right now, because I think they're the two top guys, and they're going to be guys that you can maximize profit value on them probably next year when they get the call up. I don't think Holliday's not going to get the call up this year, and Churio shouldn't. So we'll keep an eye out on news of all the prospects, and we'll help you. Hopefully you'll sign up for the text alerts. Again, you can text sports cards to 1-833-992-5727, and we'll give you a call up sell alert for any guys that we think you should be selling upon call up. However, how do you price them? Okay. I would, if you want to list them now in a buy it now format, I definitely think you should more than 2x the listing and accept offers, because if you don't more than 2x the listing, I think you could get yourself in trouble with maybe leaving it listed for too low. If it is one of the top guys. Now, off the top of my head, I can't think of anyone that might get a call up in September that is a top guy that would yield a ton of money. So I don't think this is super risky. But I do think I would list it for more than 2x, because you can always provide a discount. You can lower the pricing on the listing if you really want to sell the card in September. But I'm more of an auction guy. So I'm more of a don't worry about how to list their cards now. I'm more of a when you hear the news that they might get called up, list in a 10-day auction. That's typically how I would maximize the profit. Brett, hopefully that helps. Up next is Brian Hunt. Brian Hunt has some great questions here. He says, I bought this O'Neal Cruz card. I'm going to share my screen so you guys can see this. I bought this O'Neal Cruz card. There it is right there. So this is a 2016 Bowman Chrome Prospect Auto, O'Neal Cruz 1010. This is when they spelled his name wrong. They spelled it Oneal. It's actually instead of an A, it's supposed to be an I, but it's spelled completely wrong on the card, which I'll comment on earlier. I'll comment on in a second. But Brian says, I bought this O'Neal Cruz card on the advice of Dr. Chad Gill, with the picture here. 2016 O'Neal Cruz. He bought it for $375. SGC 1010 auto. Should I crack and submit to PSA? Try PSA crossover, which is a different option, by the way, than cracking and submitting to PSA. Or should the SGC 1010 hold good value with the current grade? Question 2, is now the time to cash in on Shohei cards, or will they continue to rise in value? He says, quantity 1, Shohei Ohtani, 2018 Bowman Chrome base batting, PSA 8, $244.26. Current value $300. Quantity 2, Shohei Ohtani 2018 Bowman Chrome number 1 base batting PSA 10, $266.53. Cost. Current value $1291, so $1,291. That is a big. That's a $1,000 profit. $1,000 profit there. Quantity 3, Shohei Ohtani 2018 Topps Silver Pack number 51, 1983 Chrome Promo PSA 9. Bought it for $85.35. Current value $200. And then the last quantity, Shohei Ohtani 2013 BBM 42 Rookie Edition Pitching PSA 9, 102. Cost to current value is $200, but was an old sale. Pop 59 PSA 10. So he doesn't provide the current value on that one. I think he left that part out. But great overview there, Brian. We appreciate it. I'm just going to leave this up on my screen real quick, just so that if anyone wants to, read this for themselves, go ahead. But basically what Brian's at, he's asking multiple questions here. He's asking, first of all, what should he do with this O'Neal Cruz card? Should he keep it in the SGC 1010? Should he crack it and submit it to PSA and try for the 1010 grade? Or just the 10 grade with no auto grade? Or should he try a PSA crossover, which is different? So the PSA crossover is where PSA looks at it. You send it in your current slab. PSA looks at it in the current slab and determines if it's going to get the grade that you want out of it. So you want to put like minimum 10 or don't crack it. So that's like, I actually answered that question about a Patrick Mahomes card on last week's Overflow show, where if it's a high enough dollar card, like the Mahomes is like a 5-figure card, makes sense to send it in the slab and then put a minimum 10 grade on it. That way they will only crack it if it's going to achieve the grade that you say in the submission that you want it to achieve as the minimum grade. If it's not going to achieve that grade, they send it back to you in the slab that you sent it in with, but they charge you, I think it's like $50 to $100 for that service. So it can eat into the profit of a card like this. So Brian, I would rule out that option. I want to see what Chad has to say and Lefty has to say about this. But then he's also asking, like, should he cash in on the Shohei Ohtani cards? The first card he's talking about, he wouldn't profit that much. He'd only profit about $60. The second card, so the first card is 2018 Bowman Chrome Base Batting PSA 8. The second card, Bowman Chrome Base Batting, same card, PSA 10. He would profit about $1,000. And then the third one, he would profit about a little over $100. And then the last one, not sure because he didn't say, but it's only, oh, here we go. $100 cost, current value $200. Sorry. So he'd only profit like less than $100. So Chad, what do you think about this? Let's dig into it. What do you think about Brian's questions here?
Good morning, Brian, and thanks for the questions. O'Neal Cruz is not ready to return to baseball yet. He is still rehabbing. Initially, they had thought maybe by the early to middle of August. Now they're saying that early to middle September. They're confident he's going to get back on the field before the end of the season, but they're taking their time being he's the franchise player. It does not make any sense to crack it and cross that over to PSA. PSA 10s are currently selling for about $325. So if you're in it for $370 or $375, you would only lose money cracking it and crossing it over, even if you got a PSA 10. I do anticipate that his cards are going to get a spike on the hype cycle of the announcement of his return. So hopefully you'll be able to make money or get out of it at that time. The Shohei Ohtani's, the question I would have for you there is, how much risk are you willing to take? I sold out of my Ohtani's almost a month ago. As I've said before, I prefer to sell on the way up rather than trying to time it at the peak or on the way down. There's a lot of hype around him right now, and his cards are very liquid. They're still doing very well. In the last 30 days, most of his cards are up anywhere from 10 to 30%. I anticipate that his cards will continue to do well, or at least hold steady from here to the end of the season. But the reason I say how much risk you want to take is there's always the risk that he could get hurt, whether that's swinging a bat, running, pitching. If he gets hurt, you could see a dramatic drop in his prices. If he stays healthy and he does track down that home run record and either ties or beats Aaron Judge from last year, you could see his prices really climb yet. So there's a little bit of risk involved there. As far as the MVP, I don't think him getting MVP is going to make too much movement on his prices. I think that's already baked into the price because everybody pretty much assumes that him and Ronald Acuna Jr. are going to be the MVPs. So barring some sort of strange happenings here at the end of the year, MVP is pretty much a foregone conclusion if he stays healthy. So I don't know if this answers your question, but if you have the risk tolerance and you're willing to wait, his prices could continue to climb yet. If you want to eliminate the risk, you could certainly sell off now. It looks like there's plenty of profit to be had. So I personally would take the profits and eliminate the risk, and I would roll it into the next play. But you're a little less than 6 weeks, 7 weeks left in the season. If you want to roll the dice, it could pay off to the tune of another 10 or 20% rise in prices. So good luck. Looking forward to hearing how you did, and keep the questions coming.
Yeah, thanks, Brian. Great answer, Chad. And before I put a bow on it, let's hear what Lefty has to say.
Brian, great 2 questions here. I think it's a simple answer for me, especially on a 10-10 SGC. I would cross it over, especially right now when you're at a low point for his market. I would do that. I would cross it over to a PSA 10. I do believe there's a high likelihood, especially if it looks good. On your picture that we've submitted here, it looks like there could potentially be a soft corner in the top right. If that is the case, then leave it. If it's not, then feel free to send it over to an SGC or a PSA 1010. If you're really worried about it, you can cross it over and say, please don't crack the slab unless it is a PSA 10 crossover. But that is a little more expensive. But that's what I recommend if you don't feel like you have a lot of risk and you have a lot of margin in it right now. O'Neal Cruz cards will go up later this year and next year, especially because he is one of the most dynamic players on a baseball field when he's not hurt. But as he has broken his leg this year, there's a perfect time to buy in on O'Neal Cruz. Second question, perfect time to sell Shohei Ohtani. This guy is going to continue to do incredible things, but I do think his market is going to burst eventually. So I would say now is probably a time to sell. And then in about a month or two, when when the Angels are officially not making the playoffs, I am planning to buy back in before the craziness of his offseason, where it's just going to go nuts, where he's trying to figure out free agency. So I do expect to either sell now, or you could hold through that and sell in the offseason when his market is astronomical, when everybody's talking about him. So feel free to sell some of these now. Feel free to kind of shelf a little bit, sell as you go, sell 1 or 2 or 3 at a time. That's what I would recommend doing. I would recommend selling the small ones now. So, for instance, the PSA 9 from the 2018 that you have, you've got good margin in a lot of these. I would get out of a couple of them. And I actually would toy with selling that 2018 Bowman Chrome PSA 10 that you have 266 in, and you can and $1,200 is the value currently. I would get out of that one, considering you have so much margin there. That's just a win. You can sleep on those numbers. So continue to move. Love the strategy, Brian. You're making good plays, and we'll talk to you soon.
I love the Overflow show. Like I can't think of any sports card content out there that's as good as the Overflow show, and that's a credit to our premium members. Brian, thanks for bringing it strong. I totally agree with the way that Lefty worded his answer on the O'Neal Cruz card. I totally agree with. My experience is that I have been screwed over cracking out SGC 10s. I have a much lower gem rate than anticipated on SGC 10 crack outs to PSAs. I want to say honestly, like I'm 2 out of 10 on that. Like very low percentage, like 20% gem rate on that. So personally, I'm a little leery of just the assumption, like the data that I have uh, tells me that you should never assume that just because it's an SGC 10 and SGC is in theory just as good of a grading company as PSA. Even a CSG 10, like same thing. I mean, I have a higher gem rate on a crack out of a CSG 10 over to PSA than I do SGC, but either way, it's still a huge risk. And so but I do think that if you examine the card yourself through the magnifier, and you determine that you think there's a good chance that it would gem at PSA, you do have more than enough time to do that and get the card back, because I wouldn't anticipate selling my O'Neal Cruz card until March or April of next year, during the hype cycle of the baseball season started, when he's hitting nukes in spring training games and then early on in the 2024 season. But I would lean towards keeping it in the SGC slab, just because the SGC black tux with the 1010 just looks sick. I will say this though, when you list the O'Neal Cruz card next year, list it with his first name spelled both ways. So put his first name in the listing, the title of the listing, twice. Once as how it appears on the card, and then another time how it appears on the like for real, like how it's actually spelled. And then put his last name and then the rest of the listings on the card. So that will help the amount of views that it gets, because a lot of people don't know exactly what they're searching for, and they're not as descriptive with their search terms. And so by putting more search terms and spelling his first name both ways will actually help you big time get more views on that listing, thus more bids, thus the card will sell for more. I would sell Shohei, all of the Shoheis right now, and then I would buy back in, like Lefty said. Okay, up next is Kelly. Kelly says, hello, I wanted some help with the process that Chad and Lefty use to buy cards on eBay. In the last episode of the Sports Card Strategy Show, Chad said he bought all weekend long and found some great deals. Yeah, he blew through his basketball budget, which is kind of funny. He blew his entire budget all on basketball cards in August. Love it. Just wondering how Chad buys in large quantities and is able to find clean cards that have the potential to gem. Is it mostly through auctions, buy it now, or best offer, etc.? I'd love to buy more cards in larger numbers, but find it time consuming and stressful when I can't find anything. Also wondering how Chad uses market movers and the benefits of it. Thanks, Kelly. All right. Well, he's talking about Chad. So Chad, you're up first, brother.
Hello, Kelly, and thanks for the questions. The questions that you're asking, I could literally take a day or several days to show you how I do things. It's not something that I can teach in a matter of a short little video response, but I'll try and answer the questions the best that I can. As far as when I had mentioned that I've been buying all weekend, I like to buy through auctions. You've heard me talk about sniper bidding. If you go back and watch one of the show and tell videos, I'd have to look to see what episode. Maybe Paul can help us. But I did a show and tell on how I sniper bid eBay auctions, and I bought 2 cards live for everybody to see how I did it. What I like to do is I like to wait until evening. So I live in Wisconsin, so Central Time. I find that the best prices are at odd hours of the day. So I like to put my kids to bed, and then as I lay in bed getting ready to go to sleep, instead of reading something, I'm on eBay looking through cards, looking for auctions that are ending soon, And I find that after 10 p.m., all the way up till about 1 or 2 a.m., if you can stay up that late, are when you can get the best deals on the auctions, because most other people are not willing to stay up that late. They'll put in a bid that they're okay with, and if they get it, they get it. If they don't, they don't. So that's how I buy a lot of my cards on eBay. I do buy bulk lots on eBay if I'm looking for a specific player. Like Lefty and I have talked about certain Bowman First players, buying and grading in bulk. When we're trying to do one of those buy and grade in bulks, I do look for lots of the specific card that I'm looking for. For example, Junior Caminero Bowman Chrome First base. I'll type in Junior Caminero Bowman Chrome First base lots, and then all of the cards that are listed as lots will come up, and it could be a 2-card lot, it could be a 10 or a 20-card lot, and most of those are done on auctions. There are some on Buy It Nows as well, but again, I feel like I get a little better deal when I can sniper bid an auction than what I can get on a Buy It Now. However, Buy It Nows with best offer features. Don't be afraid to throw out an offer that you're comfortable with. The worst thing that happens is they say, sorry, no. And then you have to either raise your bid or pass on it and move on to the next one. Patience is a virtue when it comes to buying cards. I've learned over the years, don't react and overpay for something just because somebody on YouTube or Lefty or I or Paul said, hey, this is the next great buy. Be patient. Being patient will save you a lot of money. I've overreacted a lot over the years, and I've overpaid and made mistakes. Be patient. Wait for the card that you want at the price that you want. If you're patient, you'll be able to get a good deal. As far as how I use market movers, again, that could be quite the tutorial. I use market movers when I'm writing the articles. I search some of the features. I'll search a specific card to see how they're doing. I will use the price change by percentage to see what cards are rising and falling. I use it to track my own collection. I have all of my most valuable cards in market movers to track my own collection, both for my personal knowledge as well as for insurance purposes. So again, market movers, if you're a member of market movers, Teapot has done some really great tutorials on how to get the most out of market movers. I've learned most of what I know from market movers by watching those tutorial videos and then tweaking it to what I do. Once I learned how to do it, I've got my own ways of doing it, but you learn an awful lot by watching those tutorials. So I would recommend clicking on the tutorials of Teapot explaining the values and the different ways to search market movers, and then developing your own strategy. These two questions have given me an idea. Maybe I could do some more show and tell videos on these two specific topics in the future. So I will take that into account and possibly do that as well. Thanks for the questions, and keep them coming.
Yeah, thanks, Chad. And great question, Kelly. I agree. And Connor, our new head of content at nooffseason.com, is going to be watching this show. And Connor, I think we should assign ourselves with creating more market movers tutorials. So like assign how Paul does it, how Chad does it, how Lefty does it, how Connor does it. And let's put that content out there, whether it's for the premium subscribers or, to Chad's point, maybe on the show and tell. That's great. So Kelly, thanks. And then also like how we buy cards. I think that the buying, the research, and then the buying, and then the selling, we probably need to do like a full cycle tutorial, probably for the premium members, on the research on market movers, research elsewhere, the buying and the selling, because we're all a little bit different. but I think we all have similar investing principles, and the buying and the selling are both obviously huge parts of that. So, Kelly, thanks for the question. And just so that we didn't leave Lefty out, Lefty, what do you have to say to Kelly's questions directed at Chad?
Hey, Kelly. Love the question. I don't think there's a clear and easy answer for this. This is one of the hardest parts of buying in general is if you're not buying at shows and you're trying to buy in bulk, you're trusting the pictures and you're trusting the best qualities you can find on eBay auctions, or on eBay listings. I like to do auctions up to a certain point, and then when I get frustrated, like what you're talking about, I just end up going for best offers that are in the price range that I feel like are applicable. Sometimes I have to buy lots of 3 and 5 cards at a time to get that 20-30 spot. So it eventually gets to where I need it to be, but I probably have to take 5 to 6 different buys to get the amount of cards that I'm making per one submission. So sometimes I find cases where there's like 100 chromes at a time in a lot, and they go for around the price that I need them to be per card. But even those likely and usually go higher than I want them to be. So anyway, so that's a little bit to answer your question. It is harder than it sounds, but we are just always on eBay, always looking for stuff, and it's something that we love to do, and we totally understand that it can seem very time-consuming because, in fact, it is. So, Kelly, I hope that answers your question. It's not a great answer, but it is just hard, and you have to not only look at the pictures. Sometimes we put our little grader or our centering tool up in front of the eBay auction pictures in itself, and it's just all a matter of risk analysis and risk assessment. So thanks for your question, and as always, feel free to submit some more.
Yeah, so patience, Kelly. Maybe looking at odd hours of the day, odd hours of the night, and don't overpay. There's always more cards that you can buy. So remember, you're the customer. We might talk about buy this card, buy this card, buy this card. If you miss it, there's going to be dozens of other suggestions that we have for you and millions of cards out there for you to buy. So stay patient. Up next is John Robinson. He says, what are your thoughts on Louis Robert? He's having a terrific season on a bad White Sox team, but there seems to be a little buzz in his cards. I got a BGS 9.5 refractor auto out of $499 from 2018 Bowman for $500 at the National. 1/3 of the price where his cards were a year ago. Yep, he's only 26 and he's on pace for 40 or more homers and a chance at 20 or more stolen bases. Is his lack of interest due to being on the White Sox, too many burned by his 2020 items, a combination of both, or something else? Or is it appropriately priced? This is a way to frame this up, John. That's a perfect way to frame it up. Love it. Chad, what do you think?
Good morning, John, and thanks for the question. This is a really good question, and to be honest with you, I'm going to be curious to see how Lefty responds to this question. I want to hear his take on it, but here's my take. Luis Robert is having a great season. I think that so many people, he was one of the biggest chases when his rookie card came out, and then injuries plagued him. And he just could not get healthy. And people lost a ton of money on Robert early in his career, the first couple, 2-3 years. So I think there is a sense of burnout with the hobby. I do think that myself included, I lost quite a bit of money on Robert in the very early years. I've since made some money on him. But I've got a little bit of burnout, if I'm being honest. I haven't really looked at his cards too much, just simply because of the major downward trajectory that he had from when he first came out through the injuries. Now, he is having a great year. It is a bounce back year. I think a lot of collectors like myself want to see if he can do it a couple of years in a row or if this is an anomaly. He certainly is a talented player and has all the tools to be a 30-30 or a 40-30 type player, and that's rare in the hobby. I do think him playing on the White Sox has also hurt his values, as the White Sox are terrible this year. So that does play a little bit of effect on his cards. However, it hasn't affected a guy like Mike Trout, who's played on a terrible Angels team. Now, I get Trout and Robert aren't of the same caliber, but baseball's an individual sport in terms of baseball cards. Values of cards are not necessarily due to how the team is doing. However, it can help. And in this particular case, I think the White Sox are hurting his value a little bit, as well as a little bit of burnout from the hobby. It's actually not a bad play right now, as I think that if he finishes this year strong and starts out strong again next year, you probably will see more people turning back to start collecting his cards, and you can see his values rise. But as of his current values, I think his current values are where they should be. However, I think that there is upside if he continues to produce without getting injured. Hope this answers your questions, and thanks. Keep them coming.
All right, Lefty, what do you have to say about Lou Bob?
Hey, John, great job thinking on little Lou Bob, little Luis Robert or Luis Robert cards here. I think he's made me eat crow a little bit because I believe I was pretty harsh on him in the offseason where I just thought that Luis Robert was done. And I thought that his cards were just extremely overvalued at one point and they would never get back to that. What I think we've seen this year is a resurgence of the Luis Robert that we thought could be. We thought he could be one of the top 10 players in baseball, and he showed some reliance on that tendency and on that talent this year. So if you bought in at 1/3 of his value at one point, I think you're going to get back to that. The problem is this White Sox team is horrendous. The White Sox, just around the whole idea of the White Sox franchise right now, you've got the Tim Anderson stuff. You've got the other thing the other things that are going on. You've got this scandal where they can't really find a good coach and they can't figure out what they're doing. Their farm system is all whack and wound. Weird. They did get good pieces back at the deadline, but you have players that have just left their program talking about the environment of the clubhouse and how Yasmani Grandal wanted to leave early from the All-Star break. And then Tim Anderson said, F you, I'm going to buy you a flight home if you don't like that. And then Yasmani went across the locker room and just slapped him. There's players that are falling asleep in the dugout, all this stuff. People regularly and routinely taking naps in the bullpen. It's just like this club is not set for a disciplined player. They're not set for stardom. And for a guy like Luis Robert to be playing so well on that team, I believe his value is getting dinged from his past 2 years of falling and people thinking that this isn't this is maybe an outlier and he might regress back next year. But at the same time, there's so many bad things about this about the media that's going on with this White Sox team. It's going to take a lot for his value to eventually rise. So I do think it eventually rises, which is where I'm getting at this. But I think it's going to take him proving it over an extended period of time, not just this year. So I believe probably next year, if he's not on the White Sox anymore, Lou Bob's value will go up, whether he gets traded, whether he moves to another team, or whether he improves in the White Sox organization and the White Sox organization in themselves improve. So thanks, John. Love the question, and feel free to submit some more.
All right. Phenomenal analysis on Luis Robert there. Luis Robert, however you want to say his name. However, I'm going to say this. There's so many different ways to spend money to try to make money flipping sports cards. You have to buy in, and you have to know when you buy in what the marker is going to be for you to get out. And that includes all sports. Now, baseball is the sport that has the surefire marker. The surefire marker is the call up from being one of the top rated prospects to making your major league debut. That is when all the hype happens. That is when everyone is wanting to buy that person's card. That is when the premium members and the listeners to the Sports Card Strategy Show and nooffseason.com have the opportunity to make money. That is where we can outsmart everybody else. So why would you buy a major leaguer? Like, why would you buy any major leaguer unless their name's Shohei Ohtani, maybe Aaron Judge? I just don't, but I wouldn't even recommend buying any major leaguer unless maybe Shohei Ohtani. I just, I just don't know. Like, I think it's a great question by John. And I think, if you're tunnel vision on baseball and you really want to try to nail an opportunity to flip a major leaguer, I just don't get it. I wouldn't ever buy a major leaguer. The markers are gone. The only markers are now breaking a home run record, going on some amazing tear of like a huge hitting streak, being an integral part maybe of breaking a significant team MLB record, and basically winning a World Series. I mean, you're either going to win the Triple Crown, break a home run record of some sort, or win the World Series. Like, those are the only markers that will even sniff what a call up gives us in profit. So that's my rant on, like, why are we even talking about Luis Robert? Like, why are we even talking about him? I don't get why we would talk about him. I mean, I get why someone would have a question about him. Like, absolutely. Have a question about him. Great question. Great answers in a vacuum on Luis Robert. But in the macro sports card flipping strategy, like, why are we considering a guy who is on a bad team, who does not have a proven track record, who's far past his call up, who's already lost a bunch of people money? He's just not going to have the market size that a Jackson Holliday or a Jackson Churio, like, put all the money that you would even consider putting into Luis Robert into Jackson Holliday and Jackson Churio right now. And then about 6 months from now, well, probably more like 8 to 9 months from now, you will have profit from your Jackson Holliday and Jackson Churio flips to buy whatever PC cards you want. And if you want a PC Luis Robert, be my guest. But is he going to make you money flipping? No. All right. Let's move on to, thanks for the question, John. Please keep them coming. Please don't be offended by my answer. I'm really trying to help people understand the investing and the flipping strategies here at the macro level, so that you can make the right micro decisions and focus your energy on the right stuff. Up next is Matt Rubin. He says, it seems that optic rated rookies are valued higher than Don Russ, which is paper, non-optic. So it's a paper card is Don Russ, and an optic card is a chromium-based thicker card rated rookies. Is this the case, and why? Outside of different photos, what is the difference between the two? Finally, in the case of Shea Gilgeous-Alexander's rated rookies, the photos seem to be identical. For flipping, does it matter if I buy optic or Don Russ for his rated rookies? This is a great question, especially because, like, I had no idea what was going on with this when I first started back in sports card flipping and investing back in like late 2020, early 2021. So we're about 3-4 years in now. We definitely know the differences here. Sometimes you have Don Russ and optic at the same buy-in point, which is great. But I think Chad and Kendall are going to do a great job breaking this down, and then I'll put a bow on it when they're done. Chad, you're up first, man.
Hi, Matt, and thanks for the question. The difference between optic and the Don Russ is one is a paper product, one is a chromium product. Don Russ makes the paper, the optic, and the clearly Don Russ. They're all rated rookies. They're all made by Don Russ. Optic is the top of the three, generally sells for the most in a hobby box as well as on the resale value. Hope this answers your question, and thanks. Have a great day.
Thanks, Chad. All right, Lefty, what do you have to add to Chad's answer to Matt's question?
Hey, Matt, great question. Even Griff came to answer our questions today. Since this is Griff's bed behind me, our guest room / Griff's bedroom. Thanks for the question about the rated rookies, optic versus Donruss, non-optic rated rookies. So yes, optic is the higher quality print run in terms of the rated rookies. There's also a very similar conversation to this in terms of rookie tickets. There's the contenders, rookie ticket autos, and then there is the Optic rookie ticket autos, and the Optic tend to go for more than just the contenders as well. Sometimes they have different variation photos, but most of the time it's just a simple print run difference. For instance, Donruss is more of a retail product, and then Optic would be a more of a, now there's different things based on what you're actually opening and the product is, what the actual product is coming out of. But the Optic is tending to be a collector product or a hobby product rather than Donruss being a retail or a more accessible product. So always go with the Optic rated rookie or the Optic ticket auto if you can. For instance, they are running about a 40 to 50% high rate on some of the options that I looked at. So thanks, Matt. I hope this is a easy answer for you. Definitely go for the Optic. It's not just in one scenario. Donruss is also always the lowest rated or the lower rated product. It's essentially paper versus chrome in baseball terms. So thanks.
Yeah, you're gonna have like Optic hollows are gonna be like your equivalent of like a Prism Silver. So the Optic product is just, it's going to be much better for investors and flippers to have a higher ceiling on a flip. So great answers from Chad and Lefty hit the nail on the head with the Optic Contenders rookie ticket auto as well. That's kind of, so not only is Optic a brand that appears in the Donruss rated rookie sort of series, but it also is something that can appear in other products like Contenders. So Contenders Optic rookie ticket autos are more valuable than just base Contenders rookie ticket autos. And then you've also got, like, there's a new release actually at the rookie premiere for the NFL. The NFL rookies in 2023 have, some of them have cards out, the top picks from the rookie premiere in pro uniforms, and they are Panini Optic. So they don't, and they have the rated rookie logos on them. So they don't have the Optic or the Donruss logo in the corner. It have the Panini logo, but it's rated rookie and it's Optic. So it's a chromium card versus a paper card, which makes it super valuable. I want to back up real quick before I take our last question of the show from Brad Smith. I want to back up to my rant after John Robinson's question and basically kind of revise it a little bit. So when there is a marker for a major leaguer like O'Neal Cruz coming back from injury, or we've seen Ronald Acuna's pricing go up this year based on his amazing season that he's having in the NL MVP race. But there was a buy-in point when he was injured. And so when a star gets injured, or a star might get traded or sign as a free agent in another big spot, those are markers. So I'm just talking about, it's not that we can't buy major leaguers. It's that when we buy major leaguers, we have to know what the marker is for their card to go up. So maybe I'm missing something on Lou Bob, guys. I mean, I'm totally missing something there. I just don't see him as a smart investment. I don't see buying into Lou Bob right now as being something smart. I think taking all that money and putting into Chourio and Holiday, like I said a minute ago. And then if you have a little bit more risk tolerance, like O'Neal Cruz would be somebody that you could take a shot on. But again, I would say, why put money into O'Neal Cruz, who's already had his big crescendo moment at the call up? He had a mini Ellie De La Cruz post call up scenario in Pittsburgh. Why do that when you know that the Chourio and the Holiday call-up hype is going to be huge? Like, you know that that's going to happen. So that's money in the bank. All right. Brad Smith asks, he says, thank you for your great work, guys, that you're doing. I've quickly become addicted to the different shows and the content you put out. Love that. That's the win of the year for me right there, Brad. So thank you for that. When looking at grabbing autos and RPAs, rookie patch autos, which ones do you look at first? For example, Contenders rookie ticket. And which ones do you avoid? Certain brands, college versus pro. Also, do you use different criteria for deciding to grade patch cards, or just expect lower grades on the patch cards? This is a phenomenal question, Brad. I'm so glad you asked this. I have a lot of personal experience with figuring out what works and what doesn't work in this arena, because definitely rookie autos are like what we're all about here. That's the number one way to make money flipping sports cards, but you got to know which ones to buy. So great question. I'm going to break this down like this. Let's start with college versus pro. So college versus pro, you're in a situation where the Bowman Chrome U firsts, now that they're licensed, are sick. Like, and they're going to have a runway. I think there's a huge opportunity for all of us to just go super deep and like figure out how to make money only focused on Bowman Chrome University first. For example, Caleb Williams, long runway on his Bowman Chrome University first. He is, to me, the prototype formula of how to make money flipping sports cards, because you can go get his Bowman Chrome University first autos right now for about $300, which is a high buy-in point. But we know he's going to be the number one overall pick in the 2024 NFL draft. And I anticipate his cards going up minimum 20%, minimum 20%. Sell point being March, April, May at the latest. That's the NFL draft hype cycle and the crescendo of him being the number one overall pick, being all over ESPN and NFL Network, like for weeks at a time. Definitely easy money there. That if I'm right, it could double. His card value could double, maybe even triple. But you have to sell his Bowman Chrome First University autos before his pro autos come out, or before he signs anything else in a pro uniform. Like, there might be a rookie premiere that comes out in like on the sly in like July of 2024 for Caleb Williams with whoever drafts him number one overall. And there might be autos for that. He might sign a deal with, Fanatics, Panini, whoever, we don't know. And there might be pro uniform autos out in June, July of him. So that's why you have to sell those. So for college autos, the opportunity is to buy the Bowman Chrome University first autos. Ideally try to get PSA 10s, whether you get them graded yourself or you buy them in PSA 10. And I think those are if you target top prospect quarterbacks early, like maybe Shedeur Sanders has his first ever Bowman Chrome University with the first logo on it auto in this upcoming set, whenever the next set comes out. And that would be a guy where like, hey, go get that. Other top quarterback prospects, but right now Caleb Williams is like the guy. I would just put all the money that you might put into prospecting into Caleb Williams on that front. Really, no other college uniform cards are going to hold real value. They may, like, if you may get a Jalen Hurts, Oklahoma, or a Tua, Alabama, or a Joe Burrow, LSU, for an LSU collector, an LSU person who also PCs Joe Burrow. Like if it's a sick patch and it's from like Flawless Collegiate or Immaculate or National NT Collegiate, but those aren't investable. Like, let's ignore those. So let's throw those out the window. Let's also throw out the window like any other lesser brands college stuff. The only college path is the Bowman Chrome University first, specifically to sell before they have pro uniform cards. I spoke about Anthony Richardson as a sell right now because he's going to have Colts uniform cards coming out. So throw the college stuff out the window other than that. Now, on the pro stuff, on the autograph side without the patch, definitely Contenders rookie ticket autos, Contenders Optic rookie ticket autos are the best ones. When you start getting into patch cards, you're going to want obviously the Flawless, the Immaculate, the NT. Those are going to be the ones that sell for the most. I'll show you a couple examples on my screen here in a minute, but those are also the hardest to buy in at. They're the hardest to get. They're the true rookie patch autos. So it's going to be tough. You like other brands that may sell well would be Prism and Select, although they're going to be pretty cheap and they're going to be sticker autos. So there's going to be low upside on those. And you're almost better off trying to target like the Prism Silver or collecting the rainbow that's non-autographed of guys than you are. So I would almost say avoid Prism and Select sticker rookie autos or even ones with the patch in them. And I'll show you some examples of those in a second on my screen. So you really are hyper focused on Contenders rookie ticket autos because typically they're on card, or Contenders optic rookie ticket autos that are on card. Obviously, photo variations, serial numbered, short prints, any kind of variations of the Contenders brand and the rookie ticket auto family. Those are the ones to get. Those are not patch cards, but those are the more achievable. They're more achievable than the sick patches in NT and Flawless and stuff like that. So that's my overall answer. Now we can dig into some specifics here. So I'm going to share my screen with you. And first, we're going to take a look at some Jalen Hurts sales. So for example, rookie patch auto from Flawless out of 25, BGS 910 auto sold for 4,800 just the other day, 63 bids. Panini One is another brand that can sell well. Rookie dual patch auto out of 25 sold for 1247. Here's a select rookie auto memorabilia. So somebody might put this in a listing as an RPA because there is memorabilia in it, but it's just a white, non-game worn, white something with no color in it. $500. Then you've got the same one actually sold twice for $500. So you can make, now here's a patch out of 25 for select, but it's a tricolor patch. So you've got gray, black, and white on the patch. Those are going to sell for more. Best offer accepted for less than $1,500. Some brands to kind of avoid. I would say Phoenix. I would say Gold Standard, I would avoid. Panini Black can sell well, but I would even avoid Panini Black. Panini, so, Impeccable would be a brand that I would say definitely consider. That's higher end. You're gonna have Donruss Pen Pals come out first. You're gonna have like brands like Absolute Memorabilia. I would avoid Absolute Memorabilia. I would avoid so there's also Origins. I would kind of avoid Origins. I'd put my Spectra. I would avoid Spectra. Crown Royale. I would avoid Crown Royale. So I would take all the money that you could possibly blow on some of those other brands that I've mentioned avoiding. Plates and patches I would avoid. And I would put that money into either Contenders, optic rookie ticket autos, or like a Flawless, an Impeccable, a One, or an NT. That's going to be how you're going to really make money. Now some Kenny Pickett stuff like NT Kenny Pickett, best offer accepted at less than 15,000. We don't know what that is because we don't have 130 point pulled up, but an optic rookie ticket auto, 443 with a patch. So love that. Obsidian is not a bad brand, but it's going to be like a sticker. So I would probably avoid that if it's an auto. Obsidian would be like nice if it's a serial numbered card in a high grade PSA 10. Phoenix would avoid. Limited would avoid. Freshman Fabric from Certified. That's the other one I was trying to think of. I would avoid that. NT Collegiate, I would avoid. So, when I say avoid something, basically why to avoid those and why they're not worth as much is because a lot of these brands come out before they roll out the lesser brands first. Typically, everybody gets excited about the lesser brands, buys in high when they first come out because it's like the first one to the market. And there's just like so much hype around it. But then the value plummets when the higher end releases come out. And the value typically plummets even when like Prism comes out because people start to chase the rainbow of each player. That has nothing to do with autographs, but affects the prices of autographs because now people are spending more money on the non-autograph Prism stuff trying to chase the rainbow. So great question from Brad. Got it in at the buzzer for this Overflow Show episode. If you didn't get your Overflow Show question in, premium members, no worries. We'll get to it next week on the next episode. Go to nooffseason.com and submit your question. Thanks everybody for watching and listening to the Overflow Show. I'm Paul Hickey with nooffseason.com for the sports card Dr. Crack Chad Gill and the Lefty McKee. Have a great day. And let's hear some of that rock music as I cue it up myself.